the finance minister and deputy prime minister resigns. He's also the one who was responsible for negotiating with Trump. Right. He resigned from that position as well. Everything is spiraling out of control after 9 years of the NDP Liberals. The borders are out of control. Immigration is out of control. Crime is out of control. Inflation, taxes, debt, housing costs, all out of control. And now Trudeau's own cabinet is out of control. We need an axe the tax election so that we can elect a strong, smart prime minister who has the brains and backbone to put Canada first.
Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland's resignation letter. So we were talking about the wording of that resignation letter. How would you take that?
But all the NDP Liberal MPs voted to double the debt. They voted for the policies that doubled crime,
right,
doubled housing costs, doubled food bank reliance. They voted to quadruple the carbon tax over the next 5 years, which would grind our trucking businesses, our restaurants, and our entire economy to a halt.
And what about NDP's leader Jagmeet Singh's recent statement, where he's also asking for the resign from Prime Minister? Canadians would be interested to know when politicians give any statement or when they vote, they are behaving differently. So would that be the same scenario with the Conservative Party once you are in the power? And do you want to say something about Donald Trump's statement regarding Canada? Would you be interested to see Justin Trudeau in your opposition in the next election, or do you have somebody else in your mind? Mr. Poilievre, welcome to Harjinder Gill Show. Nice to have you on air.
Nice to be with you. Thank you for having me.
So, Mr. Poilievre, this is something very interesting because for last few days, and especially for last 2 days actually, everybody is curious to know the status of Canadian politics. So, what's your opening remarks? How would you start talking about this issue?
Well, where do you start? It's a chaotic, costly clown show of NDP Liberal politicians that are putting themselves ahead of Canadians. Let's recap. Trudeau and the NDP Liberals promised the deficit would only be $40 billion. And then the day that they were to introduce their economic update, when we were about to learn that it would be $62 billion, the finance minister and deputy prime minister resigns. He's also the one who was responsible for negotiating with Trump. Right. He resigned from that position as well. Then the carbon tax carney, Justin Trudeau's replacement, changed his mind and said he wouldn't take the job. So the job went to the industry minister. He said he wouldn't take the job. So it went to Randy Boissonnault, another minister who had to resign 2 weeks ago because of a scandal, so he couldn't take the job. Mm-hmm. And then finally, the only one they could find who would accept the job was the public safety minister, and now he has to be taken off public safety and put on to finance, all in the middle of a border crisis. Everything is spiraling out of control after 9 years of the NDP Liberals. Right. The borders are out of control. Immigration is out of control. Crime is out of control. Inflation, taxes, debt, housing costs, all out of control. And now Trudeau's own cabinet is out of control. We need an axe the tax election so that we can elect a strong, smart prime minister who has the brains and backbone to put Canada first.
So, Mr. Poilievre, on the same day, we were discussing about the situation and especially the former finance minister, Chrystia Freeland's resignation letter. So, we were talking about the wording of that resignation letter. How would you take that?
Well, she recognizes that everything is out of control after 9 years of Trudeau and the NDP Liberals. But now they're all going to try to distance themselves from the things they did. It's one thing for them to throw Justin Trudeau out, but all the NDP Liberal MPs voted to double the debt. They voted for the policies that doubled crime,
Right.
doubled housing costs, doubled food bank reliance. They voted to quadruple the carbon tax over the next 5 years, which would grind our trucking businesses, our restaurants, and our entire economy to a halt. They voted to support all of Justin Trudeau's crazy, chaotic, costly policies. So now they can't all just distance themselves from what they've done.
Right.
There's only one party that can change and bring home the country we knew and still love, and that's the common sense conservatives who will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime.
And what about NDP's leader Jagmeet Singh's recent statement where he's also asking for the resign from Prime Minister?
Well, he could have voted for Trudeau to resign last week. I put before the House of Commons a non-confidence motion to fire Justin Trudeau and cause a axe the tax election. I even put Jagmeet Singh's own words in the motion, where he said Trudeau was greedy and too weak, and yet Singh voted against his own words, so that he could delay the election until next year when he qualifies for his $2.2 million pension. Jagmeet has sold out Canadians and signed on to a costly coalition with Justin Trudeau so that he can get his pension while Trudeau gets power and you get the bill.
So, Mr. Poilievre, Canadians would be interested to know when politicians give any statement or when they vote, they are behaving differently. So, would that be the same scenario with the Conservative Party once you are in the power?
No.
So, how would you do differently?
We do what we said we're going to do.
Okay.
Just like I did last time I was in government. I said I was going to cut the GST with Stephen Harper. We cut the GST from 7 to 6 to 5%. We said we'd keep inflation low. It was the lowest in 40 years. Mm-hmm. We said we'd have affordable homes. Well, the average housing cost when Harper and Poilievre were in government was about $450,000. And the average rent was $900 for a one-bedroom. And we had 25% less crime, and we balanced the budget, and we had unfettered trade with the Americans, and our military was strong. We did all the things we said we were going to do, right. And that is exactly what you can expect when Pierre Poilievre and the common sense conservatives are elected next time.
Right. And do you want to say something about Donald Trump's statement regarding Canada?
Oh, what an embarrassment we have with Trudeau and the NDP Liberals being so weak. Donald Trump and all of his friends are rolling around on the ground laughing at how ridiculous our government is, with ministers resigning, the government spiraling out of control. Our border is a total mess. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is a serious businessman who can spot weakness from a mile away, and he's taking advantage of our weak government. That's exactly why we need an axe the tax election as soon as possible, so that we can elect a common sense conservative government that has the brains and backbone to put Canada first.
Right. So, Mr. Poilievre, people directly, indirectly say that the Donald Trump is backing Conservative Party. Is that true?
I doubt it. I think he likes Trudeau staying in power because Trudeau's so weak, right?
Okay.
I mean, if you're Donald Trump and you want to take our jobs and our businesses, who do you want to negotiate with? An incompetent, ridiculous, weak, hated Justin Trudeau, or a strong, smart, common sense Pierre Poilievre with a mandate from the Canadian people? Of course, he wants to keep Trudeau around. He can treat Trudeau like a rag doll, what do we want though for our country?
Right.
We want someone who will put Canada first, and I'm that person.
And one more interesting question for you directly: would you be interested to see Justin Trudeau in your opposition in the next election, or do you have somebody else in your mind?
They're all the same. Look, Justin Trudeau is just the face of it, but all of the others have supported him. Carbon tax Carney is Trudeau's top economic advisor. He advised Trudeau on the $62 billion deficit, on the GST tax trick, on hiking capital gains tax, on quadrupling the carbon tax. So did Jagmeet Singh, voted for all of those things. So did for Chrystia Freeland. They all supported everything Trudeau has done. They can't now claim that they're completely different than him. If you want a change from this nightmare, if you want to take back control of your life and your country,
right, then
you have to vote for the common sense Conservatives to bring it home.
And Mr. Poilievre, this is December 18th today, and we are in the last weeks of 2024. So being the official opposition leader in 2024, how would you highlight your major achievements in this year?
Well, we proposed concrete, common sense ideas to put Canada first. So, for example, axing the carbon tax to bring down heat, gas, and grocery bills. Taking the federal sales tax off new homes to save you up to $50,000 when you buy a house. Incentivizing municipalities to speed up permits, free up land, and cut development taxes to build thousands of affordable homes for our youth. Cutting income tax so that hard work once again pays off. And finally, stopping the crime by repealing the catch and release 𝐒𝐞𝐬𝐭 laws that have unleashed crime and chaos in our communities. Common sense Conservatives have proposed concrete plans to lock up criminals behind bars and secure our safety once again in places like Brampton, Surrey, Forest Lawn, and countless other communities across this country where law-abiding, patriotic, hardworking people want to feel secure.
Right. So, Mr. Poilievre, thank you so much for your time today, and wishing you and your party and all the Canadians a very prosperous New Year in advance, and a happy holiday, Merry Christmas. Your last words for today's interview.
Yes, well, I would just say as we go into the new year, I want your listeners to have hope. You know, the country made me a promise when I was born to a 16-year-old single mother who put me up for adoption to 2 school teachers. And that promise was that hard work would pay off and that I could have a good life if I worked hard and followed the rules. That's the promise the country makes everyone who was born here or who arrives here, like my wife did as a refugee from Venezuela. That promise might be broken right now, but we can put the pieces back together. We can make this once again a country that honors its entrepreneurs, that rewards hard work, and that opens up a world of possibilities to anyone who's prepared to work hard. That's the Canadian promise, and that's what we're going to bring home.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Poilievre. Really appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's bring it home.